Together we have clarity, direction, and success way beyond what we ever previously thought possible. Here's your host, Frankie Lee.
Welcome back to the Frankie Lee podcast. And have we got another treat for you today? So guys, I know it's one of them in things right now where every man and his dog wants to set up an online brand and have, drop ship clothes out of China, put them all over the world, put their branding on them. And I know it's one of them in things. But I thought, what better person to have on a podcast than the man himself, Jason Daniel, who's actually done this to a high level of degree, not in terms of dropshipping or anything like that, but just set up a high level brand online and absolutely took it to the next level. So Jason Daniel, LSKD, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Yeah, is that an all right intro?
Yeah, you did well. You pumped me up a bit.
Yeah, mate, I was picking you up, mate. You did great. You're an extreme sports guy, so I just feel that you got to have kind of an extreme, extravagant, buzzed
it depends on the day. But I get it.
Yeah. So I think the best place to obviously start with you is obviously like your sports brand. It started off as Loose Kid, right?
Yeah.
And that was a nickname that you picked up at school and everything like that.
Yeah, when I was in high school. So it was just a word we used, like that's loose, hey kid, and it just came from that. It never actually came from it had a meaning. It was a bunch of fun when we were growing up as kids, and it kind of evolved from there.
So how did you even get onto taking on the name Loose Kid then? Is it just because you were like a wild animal?
I started telling it a little bit more, but no, I wasn't, and I wasn't. I suppose it wasn't too crazy loose, but I was actually around 12 years old, and I used to ride BMX with a lot of guys that were quite older than me, about 17, 18, and one of them went off, Corey Bowen, to win 3 X Games dirt gold medal, and he grew up in Shaler Park in Logan, and I grew up in Canubia, and I used to ride at this skate park, KP skate park, every day after school in grade 8 and 9, and we were at these jumps in Nerang down the Gold Coast, and they were quite big. I think I was a grommy, but they would have been like 20 foot, I think, doubles, and I was coming up short, and because I was the kid out of the group, they're like, you're riding loose today, kid. And that kind of, I don't really remember too much, but I just remember that's kind of how it evolved. And then I finally got into riding motocross when I was around 14. I could finally afford to buy a bike. I think I was telling you, worked at the local BP service station, and then my grandparents went halves with me to be able to buy a bike because I just wanted to become a motocross athlete.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of just was a word we used. We were just saying it as fun. We were, and it started from just, we'd be riding BMX to and from school every day. We'd be at the tracks, and it'd be like, oh, that's Loose, hey kid. And then it was MSN days that anyone might remember,
yeah,
and
man,
we were just
I remember.
And we were just chatting online, and one of the guys I rode with from the Gold Coast, Reedy Creek, was like, "Hey, you should turn this into a brand." And I'm like, "What do you mean? What's a brand?" I didn't have this strategy around wanting to build this big business, and you're talking back in 2002, and I finished school in 2003, so. There wasn't e-commerce that it was coming up, but I wasn't into any of that. I 2 years out of school, I became a carpenter, and started a carpentry apprenticeship. And
I feel you.
And just wanted to be a professional motocross athlete. So I was training in the gym almost every day. If I wasn't, I was, mountain biking. I was, practicing when I could. I was racing on weekends. I was traveling all over Queensland and even New South Wales. That was my life. It was working on bikes, racing, and, trying to become an athlete essentially and learn that. So it was something on the side that was there. And then 2007, we transitioned it to LKI and decided I wanted to put effort into it and thought I can do something with this. We want some clothes to wear.
So just talk to me, just going back there a second. When was it at a point when was there a point there that you realised, okay, I'm not going to be a professional athlete at this, so I need to find something else to fill my purpose?
Yeah, it's a good question. Actually, it was. I wanted it so bad, and I grew up with a friend of mine, Dan Reardon, who he won so many Australian titles, rode for factory teams, and he got paid. And I was lucky enough to practice with him, so he would set up, we'd go practicing, we'd cut tracks in the bush, like a sand track in the middle of nowhere, and me and him, and he'd give me a whole lap head start and lap me, and that was his game of him trying to lap me, and I got pretty quick, but I was never at that level. So I think, I don't know what year it was around then, but to be honest, it was probably around 2010 when I realized. So it was still a fair way when I was like, you know what, this isn't me. I haven't got this in me. And, I broke a ton of bones, ended up in hospital a bunch, was, laugh about it to one of the guys the other day, I'd be on a job site and I'd had a crash the day before and hurt my right shoulder, and that's where I held a framing gun. So I'd be on the site just getting the other apprentice to kind of cover for me so I could use my left arm with a framing gun because I couldn't move my right arm for the day. So, but I had taken too much time off work, so I had to like find a way to go to work.
And that's costing you a lot of money at the same point,
Yeah.
Because obviously, obviously I can relate to you because I'm a carpenter myself, first and foremost, right? So I know that I was in the boxing gym, right? Yep. And if you get injured in a boxing gym, like you've been sparring or something, and then you get injured, and it affects you earning a living. Now, if your living's on the tools using your hands,
correct.
That's something that you have to really be conscious about.
Yeah, I mean, I remember dislocating my finger on a Saturday practicing, and having to take a few days off work, and my boss would be off it, or I'd have a big, I didn't crash all the time. I wasn't that loose, but when you're trying to compete at that level, accidents happen. You're going at that high level.
You're going to the nth degree, aren't you? Because when you're in a race, you're pushing yourself and your body further than you've ever pushed in any practice.
Yeah, I mean, your heart rate's maxing out. You 40 bikes to the first turn. You're probably going maybe 60, 70 kilometers an hour to a first turn. There's times I got ran over by like 3 or 4 bikes, and my little brother thought I was dead. Like he was like, he freaked out when he saw me in a crash, getting run over by a ton of bikes. And I think that day I done something to my ankle, and I think it did. It got to the point. I mean, it wasn't so much. I don't know. I think I realized in 2010 and even in 2007 when I started going, you know what, I want to do something with this brand. And it was before work at 4:35 in the morning. I'd be up emailing and trying to find a way to find where to make t-shirts essentially. And then at lunchtime I'd be on the phone ringing magazines back then, or just finding ways, ringing retail stores trying to sell product, and then I'd finish work and I'd go to the gym, and then I'd get back on my computer after working on my bike. And
so
then
that was the point then. So you thought, okay,
2007 was the point. I was like, let's send it.
Let's send it. Let's start this brand.
Yeah.
So you kicked it off as what brand?
So in 2007, LKI. So we had this logo that we ended up paying from a designer like $30, and we did a bunch of other stuff. And then, so from 2007 to 18 was LKI and the journey. I decided to go part-time when I was a chippy in my apprenticeship, but I knew I couldn't afford to work on LKI 2 days a week and go to TAFE 2 days a week because I need to finish, and then work one day because TAFE, so to me, it was a waste of time.
Which is college to anyone out there in America or the UK.
So I ended up doing it at competency based, so I didn't have to go to college, so I could work 3 days a week to make money, and then do 2 days a week on a passion that I wanted to turn into my career. It got to the point I couldn't work for the same boss; he wouldn't let me do it. So I had like a group of 5 different carpenters. And I would just call them and be like, hey, you need work this week? And I had like a main builder that would, that I got the competency base to sign off, because I was like, I'm getting my ticket, but I'm never coming back. And it's pretty cool. I mean, Isaac in the office, our content creator, in 2009, the last kind of year of it, I worked for his dad, and then full circle, he's with the brand as, runs our social media. So it's pretty cool and special to see that. And then, I mean, in 2010, I snapped my wrist, ended up on combined insurance money. If anyone that was an athlete, you could get combined, which essentially it paid for my schoolies. It was epic. You broke a bone, you got paid. I think I got like $10,000 for breaking my collarbone. So I think
I'd rather have the collarbone, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, but when you got an injury, you're like, oh, well, at least I'm making some money. Anyway, in 2010, I was like, I'm not going back. Like, we're gonna go, and we started growing, and it was my mum and I. She was a massive help back then. And then I started. I wasn't a designer, so I had to find someone to help me design. And Scotty, our production manager today, was our first team member back then that was working like a day a week. That's all we could afford. And yeah, it was awesome. We were just winging it and just learning. It was just having fun. So
essentially then the first thing that you did was you got this logo designed and you just started to screen print it on t-shirts.
Oh, I mean, we didn't even have screen printers. We had to find them. We had to find everything, and I get people messaging me, where do you start? I mean, I had people, we got back then we got ripped off, like people charging us well over and above we should be paying for, people just saying they'll do it for us. And we started to realize that, I mean, it got to a point, I mean, this is a long time ago and I'm trying to look back on it, but I'd really appreciate it. I mean, I jumped in the car and drove down the Gold Coast, driving around looking for screen printing logos to find them. And I actually walked into one print and wear. It would have been like, I can't remember, 2009 or something. And I was like, and I walked in, I was like, hey guys, you do screen printing? They're like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, we print that tee. And I was like, fuck, no way. Cool. Can you print my stuff direct now so I don't go through this guy that's charging me double? So this guy was outsourcing our stuff, and I just got in the car. Like, I think it was just, I had this will that I was going to find a way, and nothing was going to stop me. And whatever doubt there was, it was just like you had your bad days and you just block it out and you keep going, and you just kept learning. And and being, I suppose, racing, you met a lot of athletes, and I got to travel a lot, and I got to go to America and travel with athletes in America, and, build amazing connections, which taught me about sponsorship. I had my own sponsors when I raced, so it taught me about how to work with different sponsors and gear sponsors. And I was so lucky to have that because I was an apprentice carpenter, so I had no money, and so I got a lot of free product. But it taught me
what you did have is you did have the learnings that you'd picked up through your racing to be able to communicate with these people at a higher level,
build relationships, and how to talk to top athletes, and how to seed product on people when you didn't have any money. So you had to build relationships with them to say, it was essentially saying, hey, we just love what you do. We're massive fans, and they started.
And if you like this hat, wear it.
Yeah, it was like, hey, if you wear it. So, I mean, it was just this journey, and, I try and look back on it now because it is really exciting where LSKD's headed, and, go, wow, that step we took there really helped us years down the track. Like I call it like I never went to university, so I call it like that on-the-job MBA, essentially. Like I was a huge apprenticeship, and without what we did over the last 10 plus years, we wouldn't be in the position we are today.
You see, most e-commerce brands in the activewear space, I would say, are probably 3 to 5 years old at max that you see now on social media.
Yeah.
Right? Would you say?
Yeah, they're quite young.
Because I never even... I did a fair bit of research, found out you're a loose kid and all this, that, and the other. I never had any idea that you'd been going longer than 10 years.
No, we haven't really shared it. We kind of just... we were never ones to really promote ourselves in that way with, the media and that sort of stuff. I mean, we've always kind of tried to stay quite humble with what we do, and, just get our brand out there with what we do in our community, essentially. So it's only now we're really starting to make waves. I mean, we started in wholesale, so I would drive and sell to retailers, and we'd make product in catalogs and we'd sell to retail. So I would drive on the road and sell until.
And this is when you were sourcing locally, right?
Yeah. So we were still making pretty much locally until 2010, and then I think I was telling you, I got the opportunity to go on a ski trip to the Red Bull house, stay there, and got to go heli skiing with a bunch of guys that were just weapons on snowboards, and it was my second time snowboarding, and we got to go heli skiing, and they're like, just tick, you're a 10. I'm like, fuck, righto, cool, I'm coming. I was a bit slow, but I'm going with these guys at a rip. And then one of the guys was a production manager of a really big brand, and I just built a great relationship with him that week. And then I got back, and I didn't even know what a production manager was back then, and he CC'd me in a bunch of emails with these suppliers, and I'm very grateful for it. And I haven't spoken to him for quite a few years, but
so that's when you started to get into the manufacturing in Australia or offshore?
Offshore manufacturing, and then I started traveling to China and different places and learning and building relationships. And I've been there dozens of times, and got to learn into their culture and understand production and product. And
so walk me through what it looks like to go and seek manufacturing in somewhere like China, because I've heard so many mixed opinions on this from people who sell on Amazon, for people who bring products in for white label, lots of different things. But obviously you are building a product that where you go source the fabric in China, or source this, source that, make this, and put things together. So you've gone really in depth, because you have tech packs and everything. Yeah. And I really want to get the inside detail on how that, I want to see how that looks.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to go offshore and think, oh, you're going to get it crazy cheap. It's actually not about how cheap you can get it. You can actually do some really intricate detailing and quality and different things over there, because they have the machinery that we don't, essentially as well. So, I bit my time a long time to find the right suppliers. I didn't just rush it. I didn't go, all right, we're going over there and we're going to make thousands of units. Like we couldn't afford to, we were so small. And so I mean, that was the pinnacle shift to being able to kind of make some better product. We met a headwear manufacturer, FlexFit, and, we end up building a relationship. So now we have a contract with FlexFit. The cap you're wearing is our own custom fit, that we've developed with them. You gotta take your time and build relationships. I think it's, going over there, it's all about building relationships and friendships. I mean, I got a gift from one of our suppliers where, I follow her, we're Facebook friends, and friends on Instagram, and she took my photo off of when we released my wife was pregnant. My other my little 2.5-year-old Hendrix was there in the photo. And she took it and she got it. She oil painted it and sent it over as a gift, for Christmas to say Merry Christmas and thank you. Right, so.
Because obviously
we have like this connection with our they're like our team over there, so we have this real genuine connection with them over there. Like we even talk on Instagram. People think it's this whole crazy world. Like we talk to them even on Instagram DM. Like they've become friends, and I think when you're dealing, it's. I don't know much about the dropship world. I've gone the complete other way where we want to control our destiny. We want to control our. We essentially we're like control. Control. How do I say it? It's our
want to
core
make
competency.
sure
We need to manage our core competency right now because we are so focused on our community and our customer, and we're learning around how to we're shipping product from our warehouse. We design in house, we market in house. We've built a team, and we've and through even times like COVID, we were able to create. We were able to hire some amazing people that got made redundant. Through COVID and. So many and help change their lives and help grow their careers. We had probably 15 people join, and
put
there was
purpose back into them as well.
Yeah, and be a part of something which is really exciting. So I mean, we've decided to go a different way where we want to control it, and in terms of which we can control our brand message and and
the
and be a part of
brands that win on the long term though, Jace.
Yeah,
they tend to be the brands that do it all in house and do keep it like intricate details in there.
Yeah,
they keep the packaging. They put the time into I'm going to get you to tell this story in a bit, but you were telling me about the postage thing, right? Yeah, on Black Friday, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's those little details along the journey that obviously you put things in, but when the customer gets the product at the back end, they do notice it. I noticed it when you bought me that box of goods there. I'll put it on Instagram, show people what I'm talking about. But look at how the box is packed and the quote on the inside of the box and how it looks and the aesthetics and how it's presented. It when you look forward to that as someone who's just gone to spend $250, when you're opening it, you have a feeling attached to a brand. When you drop ship a product and and as a customer,
notice that.
I do.
Yeah.
Because you just don't get that same attention to detail. You can tell it's.
Well, they're essentially just trying to sell product to make money, right? I mean, when we started, we never got in it for the money. I didn't start this brand going. When I initially started in the early days, it was, how do you actually make money off selling a $50 t-shirt? On scale. Like I didn't know what scale was, whatever that word was back then. I mean, so it was a passion. Like we with our mission of inspiring people to chase the vibe now, I didn't even know what a mission was back then and values were, but it took me a long time to understand all this. But we were doing it back then, but not actually being able to explain it in a way that we love getting out and chasing the vibe through sports, fitness, and action sports, fitness, and adventure. And that's how we kind of shaped our journey. And when we transitioned from LKI to LSKD, we were making a ton of products. We were making life jackets, motocross gloves. We were doing it all. We had a bit of sportswear. We had, we had
just trying to find out where you fit in.
Yeah, we were in different. We were in major retailers. We were in, independents. We were in a bunch of retailers, and we had an online business, and we were just kind of almost trying to make product to be able to do what we loved, but not realizing that we didn't need to do everything for everyone. And it kind of took me a long time to understand that. And in 2018, a part of the shift was like, well, everyone loved the logo. We was chatting offline. We listened to our customer and our community and our ambassadors and our team around.
Because you had at this point 2 brands running side by side.
Pretty much, yeah. We had LSKD and LKI. Like we would make sure if we had LSKD, there was a little LKI logo under it. And then it got to the point where we were like, okay, well, it's essentially 2 logos. We're going to have to pick one and just focus on that. And we went out and asked everyone, which one do you like better? Like, what do you like better? And everyone said, I like LSKD better. And we're like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's change it. I mean, let's change it. Let's change everything. And let's clear out everything else that we feel doesn't tie to the brand. And when we initially started the brand, we were making street and sportswear. We trained it in the gym. We'd go to the track in it. We'd wear it to clubs. When we were in early 20s, we'd wear it to clubs, and we'd go to music festivals, and you'd sleeve a t-shirt because it was just, we're just having a bunch of fun and chasing the vibe. So we went, what, let's go back to that. And Dylan, our design manager, he raced motocross. He's big into fitness, and we'd have these long conversations with him and the team, and we'd like, what, let's go back to where we started. Like, let's really use the past of what our heritage was and be very appreciative of that, where we kind of probably weren't, and go like that. Let's use this to create this brand. This brand is a reflection of the everyday athlete and who we are. And let's use the heritage to build this and create a mission of inspiring people. Because I know when I see someone go out and do something amazing, or, you know, be a part of it, it inspires me to want to, you know, to do something.
You just want to do more, don't you?
You want to be a
more.
part of it. You want to do. So it's like, well, that's what we are essentially, you know, like we want to inspire people to get out and chase the vibe. And it's the same as, you know, with our team. I mean, you know, it was funny. We've just started this LSKD run club, and it's just started.
I saw that on Instagram, you know. I saw that.
Yeah, we you know, it just started from, you know, one of the boys I go running with, and Lockie in digital marketing said to, you know, one of the other boys, hey, can I come running with you? And he's like, yeah. And then I was like, hey, can I come? And they're like, yeah. And then we went from my place a couple of times, and I'm like, we should just start a Slack chat within the company, and then
see who wants to come.
And who wants to come, and then we'll do it up the road where they do a, you know, park run at near our office. There's actually a park run they already do there, but we'll just do it on a Tuesday at 5:30, and you know, like 21 people come, I think it was on Tuesday. And
it just creates culture, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it was like, how do we get together out of work and exercise, and, you know, not everyone's at a different pace, and it's like no strings attached. You don't have to come. And eventually, now we got people outside the community. Can we come? And eventually we'll be like, let's open it up. And, you know, we're building a new office around the corner on the highway, which is really exciting. And we're going to do something from there and invite the community. And yeah, it's just like, I enjoy it and it motivates me. I mean, I'm training for a triathlon, and I sure as hell don't like running, but I have to run. So going there on a Tuesday kind of motivates me, because I'm running with everyone in the team, and, you know, everyone's high-fiving as we're running, and it's just, it's a good vibe. And we finish running, the endorphins are rushing, you know, we're just, I mean, that's essentially what we are, you know, and I think that it falls over our like pillars of what we stand for as a brand. So
was it really hard though, going into the brand that you've built up over, say, 5, 6, 7 years at this point, and really going into it and saying, right, that bit's got to go, and that bit's got to go, and we've got to remove that, and we've got to remove that?
Yeah.
Or was it really refreshing from your point of view?
I think a bit of both. I mean, I started to gain some financial knowledge. I didn't, you know, wasn't, you know, as everyone, like when you start a business, you need to understand the financial side, and I didn't have a lot of financial knowledge or people around me. My mum could only do so much, and she was an amazing help. She's no longer in the business now, and, you know, but she was an amazing help in the early days, and I ended up getting a CFO on a day a week in 2018. And, you know, anyone that is starting a brand, I can recommend, as financial knowledge is everything to understand the numbers.
Yeah, understand your weekly cash flows and everything.
Exactly,
like that.
and you know, Matt Geldard has been a huge help, and he, you know, we talk every day. You know, I was on the phone to him on the way down here, you know, talking about different strategies and things we're working on. So yeah, he kind of started to look at things differently, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think of that, or why am I doing that? And started to understand different things in margins, etc. And so it then started to become real clear, going, well, if we want to build a great business, we do, you know, we need to be, you need to be profitable so you can keep growing, and you can give amazing careers for your team, and I can have an amazing career and grow my career with my team, and essentially understand what we're doing. So that actually played a big part of it, is understanding the financial side a lot more. Was it hard taking it? Yeah, it was. But was it better? It was, yeah, because I could have a clear focus on one thing. Not be like, okay, today we're doing this, today we're doing this, today we're doing this, where, you know, people say, oh, you got to have multiple things, but it's like, if you just get one thing right and just focus on that,
I know,
then maybe when you get that right, then start thinking about
it's always the one thing. It's always the one thing. If you look at anyone successful, they've inherently done or whatever you perceive to be success for you, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you look at the person that's most successful to you, they focused on one thing, got massive success in it, and then once they'd had success in it, then maybe when they'd cashed out a little bit from that, maybe they'd had other things.
Yeah, and I look at it as, you know, we're just getting started. The journey's so exciting, you know, and it's just literally, we're just getting started. It's such an exciting time, but when there's an opportunity for me to do something else, or a new category in the business, or something where we're looking at or chatting about, I go, well, hang on, imagine if I just focus that energy into that, how much better could we make that? You know, so I always go back and ask those questions. You know, if there's, you know, someone wants me to, you know, there's an opportunities come up all the time, and I go, well, that's great, but if I actually put 120% back into that, the return on, you know, growing to the next level will be much greater, and growing our team and their careers, etc., will be much greater. So no, you know, stay focused, Jace. Like, don't go off track. Yeah. So, and I used to do that a lot in the early days, was like, go down here, and it can be from different product categories, you know, or different things, because developing a product takes time. You know, it can take minimum 9 months to develop 12 months. We're working 9 months to 12 months in advance developing products.
So give me a bit of a rundown of the development process of a product like that you're talking about. So over the 9 months, what are the main stages that, a product like, let's just take this hat, for instance, that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Epic hat, by the way. You should definitely go. I'll put a link in the description.
Thanks, bro.
But
it's my favorite. I have about 10 of them. I have a training hat and a daily hat.
I think I might be getting 10 of them as well. But give me, because obviously this, you said that you designed the fit and everything like that. So run me through what the 9 months of building a product like this looks like.
So it depends on the product, I suppose. If we're developing a fabric from the ground up, especially with our women's wear tights, that takes a lot. That's a solid. If it's a product we've already developed, like a fit, sometimes it's just upping a colorway and going, okay, well, we want to offer that in a new color option, and it's just making sure we get a fabric sample and check the fabric sample, then get a full, proto sample, and then we get the pretty much place an order, then we get a production sample to approve, and then it gets shipped. So when we're developing a product from the ground up, how do I explain an example? We're working on November now. So Monday I was working on November with our design team.
Yeah.
So that's like initial stage of pretty much building a catalog and how it looks and aligning it to each category within the business of what we do within sportswear, and then our street side to the brand that ties back in. So where initial design stage, as in we've got the designs presented. So I had a designs were presented to me. We were working together on it, and then we did an approval process. We're pretty much 95% there. The team go back and create all the tech packs, measurement specs. If we're creating new fits, we got to create those fits from the ground up and measuring specs. Tech pack gets sent to our supplier, essentially. Our supplier comes back with a first proto. We take it back. We do fittings. We'll test it. We even train in it. Test it. Go back with notes. They'll come back with another sample. And sometimes we got to go back again and again and again to get it right. Sometimes we could iterate something 5, 6, 7 times. Sometimes it could be twice.
And this is just for like one piece of clothing per piece.
Correct. You might have 100 pieces in a monthly collection. It's a big job to make sure that, and when we, like you said before, when a product comes to the front door of our community, we want them when they put it on to go, oh my God, like this fits amazing. The fabric feels amazing. I feel great in it. And, I can either, train in the gym in it, or I can wear it on the daily, and I think that's a big thing where you don't want to skimp on things. Like you've got to put the time in. So there's times where we haven't released product. So we've made some, everyone makes mistakes, but we were meant to release a collection with a bunch of new products like tights. We released a collection with no tights. So we had
just because the tights weren't right.
Because we just weren't happy with it. We were like, you know what? The customer is more important here. It's not about it's about long term of our brand. We think about it in 5 to 10 years time, So,
but you could still put in last season's tights that were right in that collection.
We have like our core styles, but we might be dropping a new colorway, and we just weren't happy with the fit. The fit didn't come right off the fabric, so we've pulled it and gone, you know what? No, we're not going to sell this, and we may have just ended up canceling it and saying we're not going to do that. But there's times that's happened, because you want to get it right, but sometimes you just don't, and you've got to go back to the drawing board. It might take another 2 to 3 months to get it right. So we've had to put it on the back, like we're still working on it, but the date we wanted to release it, and that's why the time you have is better to plan. This is at the next stage of it all, right? We've spent years understanding product development, and, it's taken us quite a long time to understand each intricate detail. You could talk about it all day. I'm not even that good at it. My team are like phenomenal. They're better than me at it now. Day focus. That's what they do every day.
There's a couple of points in that I want to bring up to the audience. Is the fact that the last thing you said there was, my team are better at it, and I think there's something in that, because ultimately it's like Jimmy with this podcast. He edits all the content because he's better at it than me. And you've got staff that are better at designing because that's what they're better at. And we were even talking about the hashtags earlier. Now you're saying is chase the vibe, right? But before that, it was something different that you created. Live the lifestyle, right? And then when you put it to the community, the hashtag that your people that are essentially better at you at certain areas of your brand, that you've paid to be there, to be better, have created a hashtag that's banged harder for you than the one before.
Yeah, well, and everyone resonated with it so much more. They were like, "This is cooler. Like, I like this." I'm like, you know what?
That's powerful. It's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, and going back to that, humility is a big thing, and it's something within our values. No one's bigger than the team. We no one has an office. I sit on the end of someone's desk at the moment. I don't even have my own office, and I'm not going to at our new office because has to waste a square meter space. I can work anywhere. But,
Yeah.
that's something I've had to learn. And I think I was chatting about it, coming from working, as a carpenter on a job site. I never got to work within a group environment.
you never worked with people in it.
Yeah, like I'd worked with people, but I didn't understand to the other side of it. So I had to learn,
It's different working with people on site than it, because
It's completely different.
On site, you're just bantering 24/7 because no one wants to be a carpenter, really. There's not many passionate people that are there for I want to be a carpenter.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 carpenters are on site because they thought that they'd get a trade to earn cash to do what they want to do, right? So that's the vibe. So you're all laughing and joking about because you want the day to go a little bit quicker, right? And get off the job site.
You gotta you're triple gripping a roof down, and you're like, all right, I got to get this thing done. Like there's no the reward is obviously this beautiful home in the end of it, but I mean
it's not your beautiful home; it's someone else's.
Yeah. So essentially, it's it put into that perspective, you're right. And I think coming off
that into managing like a team of
I had to
3 or
learn
4 people.
everything and made a lot of mistakes and lost staff. I was saying before, I lost, Dill left for 18 months. And I was like, can you come back, man? I've learned a lot. And, I've grown up a lot and, you've grown up a lot. Let's get back together and join the team again.
What do you think the key, when you say he left, what do you think the key thing was that was going wrong at that particular point in time to kind of cause that animosity for him to leave?
Oh, I mean, this was a long time. This is not long. It's only 5-6 years ago, I think, where, he would come in 5 minutes late and I'd be like, why are you 5 minutes late? Like, I would rouse on him for 5 minutes late, and just be like, and it just silly shit that just meant nothing. And it's more going, hey, man, are you all right? Like, everything okay? Like, did you is it all good? Like, I noticed you coming late. Are you okay? Who knows? Like, he could be getting stuck in traffic every day. And it's like where it wasn't like I didn't actually care. It was more like, man, get to work. And it's like, if I'm passionate about what I do and I believe in the mission, then I love coming to work. If our team are passionate about helping make a difference, then essentially you hope they love to come to work. So, and do what they do and work in a greater team and collaborate, and everyone gets that, like, they can speak together with, with a freedom of speech to give ideas and come up. Because to me, ideas are created when there's a group of people that feel aligned together, and we can, when we deal with a problem, it's like half the time when I got a problem, I post it in, like, if I need help, I'll post it in our general Slack, and go, hey guys, I need some help. Anyone got any ideas? And then next minute, we'll get everyone together and
people solve problems together.
Yeah, we're just coming up whiteboard session and come up with an idea and then strategize around what we're going to do. Where back then I didn't, I didn't, and it was probably more. It wasn't selfish. I just didn't know what I didn't know, and had to do a lot of courses and, learn
there's a lot of personal development in there.
A lot of personal development I've done over the years to understand and made a lot of mistakes. And I mean, the brand is now growing like phenomenally. It's like, it's insane where it's growing to now, and really exciting, where previously we weren't growing that quick. So I attribute going, well, hang on, if we could change LSKD and make changes from the internal out too. So when we said we want to inspire people to chase the vibe, it had to happen first internally. And it didn't, to me, it had to. And we were early days, right? Like, and we're not perfect, but it had to happen internally. And I had to want to enjoy what I did as well. And I love it, but I was so serious, and I'm like, I want to have fun. Like, I want to enjoy. I want to work with the team. I want to go running with them, and like we high five and see someone achieve a better time. Like, fuck,
transfers through the brand, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like you just said. I love that perspective you've put on it, because it really is. You can have a serious side inside, but then if you're trying to be that vibrant brand outside and you're serious inside, it's going to show in your designs. It's going to show.
Yeah,
in your
and I just went, you know what, like I'm just going to be the exact same I am at home to how I am at work. Like, I don't know. I was like, I'm how I am here. It's exactly how I am at the office. Like, there's no gray area for me. I just want to be, transparent in who I am.
How much more peaceful is that as a business owner?
It's amazing. And I wasn't kind of essentially putting on a facade at the office. I just think sometimes you can get this hype on yourself. I don't know. I can't explain.
You can buy into your own success too. As well,
it wasn't even that. I don't know. I think it was like you're at work. Let's work. And it's like, well, yeah, we're here to get a job done, but people aren't going to work harder.
Can we have fun while we do it?
Yeah, and like we all want to achieve something together, so we're all going to, everyone's working their ass off. Like, I want to make sure people don't reach burnout essentially when we got so much going on. So, because I can. So it's like, how do we? And it actually ends up motivating me more when I talk like that, and then everyone gets, we all G up together. So. Yeah, I think it's been a really interesting learning, just kind of, I suppose, asking myself questions, why? Like, and then even asking the team, like, do you enjoy it? Like, how can we improve? I mean, how can we improve our culture? What are we doing wrong? Like, I think internally, and you hear it in books, you hear it in seminars you might go to, you hear it and they talk about it, but there's one thing to like hearing it and then there's one thing practicing it. And when we changed to LSKD, we really tried to, there was nothing wrong with our culture, it was fine, but it was like, how do we actually make a complete difference? Like, I mean, and it's something you could call it that you don't talk about, but I mean, we onboard our team with 3 books. We, there's courses now where we're going to be paying for people to go to.
So what 3 books do you onboard them with?
How I'm going to say that's no secret. So we onboard with, we recommend them to read and force them. But one of them is Legacy by the New Zealand All Blacks. Another one is the founder of Lululemon, Chip Wilson, Little Black Stretchy Pants. And the other one is, I've had a mind blank, Zappos Shoes. So the Zappos book by Tony Shea. He just passed away, which is really sad. His book was amazing.
And what was your key decision in those 3 books specifically?
I don't know. I mean, I started listening to books maybe only just on 3 years ago. And I was never someone that listened to books. And then I started listening to them in the car. And then, I don't know, I just got a lot out of them. And then some of the team, my CFO, and we all started listening to books and sharing knowledge. And then it just happened organically. I just started listening to books and then resonating with a founder and going, I've been through that, and then it was, and we just put different context around the books. It was like, it wasn't really like all right, these are the 3 books you have to listen to. We just kind of implemented organically. Like it wasn't
kind of a group decision kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to look back.
And not everyone's listened to all these books yet, right? Like there's people that, some of the team haven't actually listened to it yet. It's, it's the new team member starting listening, and it just starts a conversation. We just have conversations and book club and, just talk about it.
Jace, I'd love to look back at I know we're not going to talk about numbers, but I'd love to look back at your numbers 3 years ago and look at the numbers since you've been reading books, and I bet there's a hell of a lot of difference.
Oh yeah,
and if you looked at the 3 years prior and the growth then and the growth percentage then, because people don't understand. I honestly, reading is the most powerful shit. It's changed my life, mate. Yeah, it's changed my fucking life. I can swear down. And I didn't start reading until 26 years old, bro.
Yeah.
26 years old, I didn't read a book. I would not be here right now. I wouldn't have a business or anything if I hadn't started reading.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No,
changed my life.
I totally agree. I mean, books are developed from people that have done amazing things and had struggles along the journey, and then they share their story, and then you go, well, hang on, I never thought of that. Or I never thought of that. And we're like, hey, let's try that on.
It costs you $20 or $30 to go and buy 10 years worth of someone's knowledge that you can read in 200 pages.
It's cheaper than any $1,000 course to go to, right?
And you'll absorb it better than any $1,000.
Although you just get an Audible account and $16 a month and you get a free book a month. Or book included in that, instead of paying the third, and then you're just downloading a book a month, and I mean, listen to it on 1.6 speed and you get through it quicker, and then listen to it again.
I know, and you should turn one of the things that I tell people to do is turn your car into a university, right? You're always traveling half an hour here, half an hour there. You should be, instead of putting on the radio or some bullshit like that where you're listening to ads and crap and mind-numbing shit, you should be putting on an audiobook and consuming that whilst you're traveling, so you're not losing no time.
Yeah, 100%.
So turn your car into a university, and I tell you now,
I've never thought of it like university in the car. It's true. I mean,
that's my
I talk
education.
About a lot. I'm always listening to a book in the car. And I'll jump between books. If I'm kind of struggling on, I'll jump to another one that I really resonated with and go back to a chapter that I really liked and play it again. I'm the same. I'm a big believer in books.
I was talking to James Smith off the podcast when we were at breakfast the other day, right? And me and him were talking about books, and obviously we're both avid readers now, and we've both read a lot of books, and obviously he's had 2 best-selling books, so that's wicked, right?
Yeah.
But me and him were both saying that if you're reading a book and it's shit, it doesn't mean you have to finish it. You just put it down and go and read something that does resonate with you.
Yeah.
Too many people want to, because they've had a bit of sunk cost in the book, they want to finish the book. Well, no, fuck that. Don't waste your time.
And then maybe 2 years later you'll go, I want to go back to that book now because I've matured in that.
Because now I'm ready for it.
Correct.
Now I'm ready
for it. There's a time when you might be ready for that next book. I've listened to a book 6 months later and gone, I've got more out of it because, you're growing every 6 months. Like you're growing personally in your career and, personal life, and when you listen to it again 6 months later, you go, actually, I get that bit now.
Yeah. And have you noticed something like you when you re-listen to these things, you can pull out a completely different message within the context of what you're looking for at that point in your life compared to what you got previously.
Yeah.
That's why there's a guy called Naval, and if you guys ever get a chance to follow Naval, he's probably one of the most philosophical guys that you could ever follow. He
to follow him.
You should follow him too. I promise you'll get a lot out of this.
Yeah.
Right? If you follow him, he has he just buys the top 50 or 100 books, has them on his bookshelf, and then just reads those over and over and over again. And that's where his knowledge comes from. He doesn't pull it from all these new books. There's time proven classics that have the Stoic principles and have these.
Some
principles.
of this stuff hasn't. It's 100-year-old.
It
just keeps getting reinvented in a new way for someone to resonate with it. But it's been happening for years, And
100%.
I think that's why we don't. I mean, it's not like a secret or anything. It's like, but some people don't talk about it. But it's like, well, it's all out there. All the information's out there. I mean, and we're still learning on this journey. It's like we're making mistakes. We're not perfect, but it's like if you keep trying and pushing and educating yourself and learning in the next stages and getting great people to join your team. I mean, as you go back to like for people wanting to start a brand, I mean, and it's like it takes time and learn every intricate detail of it because when you do hire a new team member, at least if you have an understanding of what goes on in that role. I've gone from running logistics in the company, running, all the containers. I used to look after the logistics to the business too. Like I was, looking after with our freight forwarders and making sure that was coming in, that FCL, or we're consolidating an FCL, whatever we were doing, or as an LCL where it was coming, do we have to air freight it? I had to learn all this stuff. And, now, we've got an amazing team looking after it, and I work with them if there's problems.
But at least you understand the role in your business.
When they're having the conversation, or it's digital ads, like obviously the new whole thing, it's like how are digital ads working? What's a CPC, CPM? What's ROAS? What's cost per, what's a CPA? Like you at least got to understand the fundamentals of all this stuff.
Even if you can't go and implement the full ad yourself, at least you can understand the overview of what you're looking at from the figures.
Because then you can kind of work. You know what you're looking at. You need to know what you're looking at, and then if you don't understand, ask for help and understand it. I mean, I think it takes time to understand a lot of things. I'm not the quickest learner, and I've taken time to learn all this and understand it all.
And the reason why I wanted to get you on here and what I've loved so far is the honesty of the fact of how many years it's taken you to get to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long.
It's a bit crazy.
It's been a long journey.
I think I was glad I started when I was, literally 21. I think when I started putting effort in 2007, I think I was 20. So I was quite young. I was and social media wasn't around then. Really, it was MSN. I mean, it was magazines back then. As you said, there's a lot of people that own brands young because social media has come out. So I was quite young, and I think for me, it didn't feel like job. I don't know. I just was so passionate about it, and I'm still so passionate about it. It probably comes out because I get a bit excited when I talk. But I mean, I'm just passionate about what I do, and I think I'm learning about developing people.
That's so good though. After you've been in the game so long, there's so many people I see starting brands all the time that I know are not going to be passionate about that brand that they've started in 12 months because they started it predicated on the fact that they want to go out and make money. And the thread that's gone through this, and the reason why you stuck at LSKD so long, is because of you started it for the fundamental reason of you're just chasing this vibe. You're just trying to have a good day every day, and you're just trying to do something that fulfills you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you want to come home feeling fulfilled that day. I mean, same as you're big into fitness. I just training this morning. I exercise nearly every morning, or do something that starts my day and gets ready, and then I enjoy going to the office and working with the team. And as I was saying before, we're a team of over 30 now, and it's really growing, a full-time team. And then there's casuals, so it's close to 50, and it's growing. And it's, I have genuine conversations with them all, and I only get to see everyone every day now. But it's like, I don't know, and I think it's like during COVID last year, it was a scary time for everyone, and seeing that happen really gave you an appreciation, and knowing we were able to, create jobs for people through those times was so special. It really made me feel
you've got growth through a period when people are in a bit of a negative space as well. So
and people that lost their jobs, it was so sad to see. And we were already growing rapidly, and I mean we were we come from a wholesale industry selling to retailers, and I'm so thankful for that journey. Learning how to sell to retailers. We were designing collection 14 months in advance then. So we would design even further. We would design a collection even before we'd sold that season so we could be on the road selling it. So I've done it even further, and now we're more in advance because we can learn from our community more before we develop the next season or what's happening. But so we'd be on the road selling a season, and then, you know, you're getting let down and you're giving, you know, it's, yeah.
Let's just talk about that point, because I know that you went into retail hard,
yeah,
didn't you? So you took LSKD, you put it into retail.
Yeah.
You had a lot of success in the fact that you were selling a lot of pieces, but I remember you saying to me before the show that it came to a point where you felt the brand was being more dictated to.
Yeah, it kind of like got to the point. I mean, it's, you know, we wanted to control our journey. I mean, you know, retailers without them, we wouldn't be here, and I'm so thankful for it. But it gets to the point where, you know, we wanted to design product for our customer. You know, that's the most important factor of this whole thing, is they're the most important thing in our community, you know, and it sometimes you're designing product to what the retailer may want because they sold it the season before, not what your community wants.
Yeah.
And you know, you're going and selling ranges, and, you know, you don't know if they're going to buy it or not. And you're like, man, we've spent so many weeks, months, hours in this collection, and it depends if they like it or not, you know? It depends if the buyer or the store owner likes it. It's not what your community wants. So I think it got to the point of doing that for so long, that drained me, right? I was like,
because now your brand isn't really your brand,
and it's an untalked about thing. Yeah, you kind of,
you're actually not building a brand anymore. You're actually just labeling something that someone else wants.
I mean, you can read about it. Why did Nike pull out of 30,000 retailers last year or the year before? Why did they pull out of Amazon? Right, like, they wanted to control the message and a little bit more, and we are, from what I figure. But I mean, people.
I didn't even realize they'd pulled out of 30,000. I knew
it was about 30,000. I think I just read about it, right? And I was like, and it kind of gave me confidence to go, well, if we built a brand, you know, direct to our community, what's possible, and how we grow that. So, you know, we had to learn how all this works. So it's been and I think now I think about it, that was draining. You know, it was like you were getting let down because you've worked on this amazing collection and your team loved it, everyone was hyped, but then you had to go a different direction. It was like, oh, that sucks. You know, where now it's like, you know, what does our team, our community want, and now we can control the journey of the brand, essentially, right? And stay true to who we are. I mean, and honestly, like, the phone was ringing. You know, last year we decided to close our wholesale business down. It was hard, and as I said, it's like I am so thankful for that. And it was hard, and the phone was ringing. Like, I had major retailers calling, like founders, owners of big retailers calling us saying, we want to buy, like, we want it. And I just say no. I was like, look, no, I really appreciate it. And look, back then some of their orders started declining, but we rebuilt what we were doing, and then all of a sudden the demand came, and we want it now. And I'm like, well, you know, I'm sorry, like, no, you know, we want to buy 3,000 units of that. No, like, sorry, like, we're going to control the brand message, and you know, I appreciate it, but I decline politely.
There's such a powerful lesson in that statement, and being able to say no as well.
Yeah, so that, and I think that taught us a lot. I mean, and having understanding of why we were doing it. I mean, it's a huge risk. You're taking millions and millions of dollars off the table at that point, and going completely e-commerce. And you know, we're our new office in Logan on the highways. We're gonna have a retail shop there, which is really exciting, and we, you know, eventually may do pop-up shops and that sort of stuff too. And in the future, as COVID slows down, but, you know, yeah, it is a big risk. It's completely online, and had to learn it all from the ground up, and, you know, how to learn a whole different world of just shipping product to a retailer and letting them sell it to, we manage the whole process, right? So, you know, our customer support team, we've really grown, and we've just, you know, hired an amazing manager to help really build that. And, you know, we're customer obsessed, so it's like we need to improve that. We've made some mistakes. How do we fix it? Like, we call customers if we, you know, hey, we're sorry, like, what happened? How can we improve that? You
Whereas before that was lost in translation because you were selling 3,000 units at bulk to a retailer. So you didn't really get a chance to meet the customer, did you?
No, you didn't really know, and you didn't really know what they liked, what they didn't like. When now you get to learn. So I think it's a really special time for brands or anyone, I suppose, trying to get themselves out there online. It is, you know, it does take a little bit longer because you're not going to get your quick orders off a retailer. It is, but it also, it's very rewarding when, you know, like, you get these emails and people message us how amazing, or, you know, like you said, that feeling they get, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like it's a really good feeling knowing that, you know, people love what we're doing, and you see people wearing it, and essentially them chasing the vibe in our product. It's a cool feeling, you know. And I think in our team, I think they feel the same way. So yeah, it's, I mean, and that's the thing. My journey's so crazy. It's like, sometimes I was like, how am I still doing this? But I had to look at that and go, what? Like, why am I still doing this? You know, like,
it just shows though that it is burning inside you.
Yeah,
to be able to do it, and that's fundamentally what I want. I thought you'd been doing this 5 to 8 years. It turns out you've been doing like 12 to 15. I didn't even know myself, right?
Yeah.
So to see someone with the energy that you have, with the drive that you have to take this to the next level, after so fucking long, is inspiring to me.
Yeah,
because like it's such a big thing, mate.
Yeah.
You just don't see it.
Oh,
People get burnt out,
and it gets full on. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, we're talking about, you know, our Black Friday event. It was insane. You know, we did, you know, just shy of 50,000 orders, you know, over 9 days. You know, we were such on a high. We didn't expect that many orders.
What were you expecting?
Well, I mean, we thought we could do 35,000 orders. We're like, yeah, I think we can do that. You know, if we looked at the opportunity and the planning, and then obviously it just was. I mean, the first hour we did more in our whole 18-19 financial year in the first hour, so it was out of control.
So in the first hour of Black Friday, you did more sales than you did in the whole year of 2018, 2019
online. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was I mean, yeah, it's a crazy feeling seeing like 19,000 people live shopping on your store at once. It was insane. I mean, and that was just our AU store. So we have a US store as well. So you know, it was nuts, right? And you know,
so you're secretly buzzing, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, "What am I going to do?" Because there's 19,000 people, and if they all buy 2 pieces each, that's over 35,000 orders.
Well, no, that single orders, so single people purchasing,
single people,
not units.
Yeah.
That was just shy of 50,000 individual people buying.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was full on. I mean, and we learned a lot. I mean, we thought we could ship it all in time. We definitely couldn't. We learned fulfillment is we put all new systems in. We put new warehouse management systems. Like, we'd been planning.
You just got smashed.
Yeah, and we've been planning. Like, our warehouse manager Morello was an absolute legend, and he didn't, like, we were all slammed. I mean, we were all in the warehouse working. Our whole team, like our sponsorship collaborations team, they weren't doing it. They were on customer support. We went from a team of 6 to a team of like 14 in customer support, just trying to make sure we could connect with everyone. We had everyone was in the warehouse doing, like, covering the lunch shifts. So our team, because we got a separate warehouse location at the moment, so our whole office was leaving. Everyone was doing shifts. Everyone would be in Slack in the morning. All right, who's taking this shift and who's taking this shift for an hour and a half to help support the warehouse while they're on lunch, to keep things, like, everyone was all hands on deck. Like, I was in there for 3 weeks, like, literally every day, 3 weeks. Didn't do any of my other part of my role, and it was amazing. I mean, I actually was tired. I'm like, I haven't been on my feet this much in a long time. It was a huge respect to know how hard it is to be in a warehouse, especially when it's hot, you know. And I learned a bunch, you know. So many things we can learn from, and you know, we're already working on it as we're already working on fixing things that we learnt from that, so we know we can handle it next year and this year. So
what do you reckon Black Friday? How many orders do you reckon you're doing on Black Friday this year?
I don't know. We have some big goals, but I don't want to say it yet because it's like I don't know. It's big. It could. Yeah, I don't know. It could be big. I mean, who knows? I mean, and I think what we learned from that is it's not, you know, we don't do a lot of sales. We very rarely. So it's kind of like our one big and only event of the year. So we don't. We're very brand protective. We really like to look at our brand in 10, 15 years time, 20, 30 years time. We're not looking at it as like quick overnight, done, gone. We really respect our brand and love what we do. I mean, even our team, we our team are buying product a day of a release. Like, literally, our whole team is online buying product. You know, they're buying. Everyone's buying product. You know, on the day of a release. Like, I mean, Black Friday, I missed out on so much product myself. We oversold. We oversold like 5,000 units on the night. It was too much traffic that we couldn't handle. So there's a lot of learnings. I mean, we know we can, be a lot larger this year, but I think it's also making sure that, I think we were saying it before, it's like the customer is more important as well. Like, we don't want to, you don't want to let them down. It's all well and good having a big event. I mean, we upgraded everyone to free express shipping, 20,000 people, because we were late. We missed the date, right? It's $10 per order. So you add the maths, right?
That's 200 grand.
We made some mistakes and we had to we had to do whatever it took, and we didn't boast about it to them that we've upgraded them, because they don't care. They want their order, and I would be in the same boat. Like,
because didn't it take you from the day that you'd sold it, like 15? You're still packing orders 15 days after.
So we launched on the 24th, and we were still packing some of the orders 20 days later, because some got missed, like genuinely got missed, where it was like, oh no, there's still 20 in day one that hasn't been packed, right? And so there's some big learnings that we've learned, and we got the systems, we got amazing systems, but we did implement them 2 months out. So,
so you were still learning about the systems as you were using them, really?
Oh, look, almost. Like we had a lot of training leading up, and our warehouse manager was working. Man, he was like 15-hour days. He was punching it out. He was a weapon, and the whole team was cooked. I mean, and I think that, and we were all on a high and we loved it. But what I think the aftermath of it is we were so stressed. I mean, I've never been so stressed for that 3 weeks, and it was all about the customer. It wasn't about, we'd done a phenomenal job. Like our brand, we knew we had something special.
Yeah, because you're sat there with the money in the bank, so that's all good. But you still got to fulfill the promise to the customer.
And it's about long term. It's about the customer and about making sure that they're fulfilled and happy. And so it's like, there's no point having these cool events if you're not going to look after them. Because if it was me too, and we kept everyone in the loop, and we told people we were going to be up to 15 days late, but we broke past the late date. We broke past that. So, and I'm happy to, we better off than hiding it. Like, there's no point hiding it.
It's great that you'll own it.
Yeah.
So many people wouldn't do that.
No, and I think it's like, well, we rang people. We were, I was writing personal letters myself to some of our community to say sorry. I had people reach out to me even on my LinkedIn saying, well, I can't believe how late you guys are. Like, I'm pissed off. And I personally found their order and packed it and then wrote a letter, like, myself, because I'm like, hey, like, I'm so sorry. Like, and to be honest, if you want a refund, I'll send you the product anyway. Like, we gave people vouchers. Because it's not just about, we know we have something really special and a really special brand here, and what we're doing, and it's growing rapidly. But there's no point having a great event and not being able to fulfill for them, because we want, our community is our ambassadors. So yeah, it was a big learning curve and a big wake up call to realize, you do see a lot of these big brands out there, and I'm really inspired by what a lot of these big brands have done, and it inspired me to know that an Australian brand could do this and we could create jobs globally. And you see it and you go, oh yeah, that looks easy. And then when you go through, you go, whoa, okay, this is not as easy as you think.
What are the big global brands in your space that have really inspired you?
I mean, there's a bunch of different brands. I'd always looked up to, like, in the early days, I owned their watches, like Movement, and I got to talk to the founder the other week, which was really cool, Jake, and Pure Vita bracelets. It's really cool seeing what that achieved in the US. Blenders Eyewear, seeing these guys build these really big, and then obviously then you've got the big likes of, e-commerce with the Gymshark, Lululemon, these other brands that have done an amazing job. And that was inspiring. I think it was like, I kind of look back and was like, well, no one's actually doing this in Australia. Like, no one, why are we holding ourselves back? As an Australian country, like, we can build an amazing global brand from Australia. And there has been amazing brands here do it too, retailers. Yeah. But I was like, there's no real like brand doing this. And I'm like, well, maybe we can do this, and create jobs globally. We got a team member in the US working from the US now, and we got, a team all over the world working with us. And we've got a head office here that people can, travel from all over once travel's back on and work here. So, for me, that was also an inspiring part to when we made the shift to learning about e-commerce, was like, well, we can be a part of that. So I think it's really good. A lot of these brands have really opened up a gateway of what's possible for brands.
There's so many exciting young brands popping off in Australia right now.
Yeah.
Especially in the e-commerce space, in different niches, obviously, watch brands.
Heaps.
And there's so much opportunity here. And I think Australia and with the Shopify model and everything like that, and being quite close to China, and obviously like being able to get manufacturing and looking after the customers, and there's a lot of attention to detail with Australian entrepreneurs with brands that they're building.
Yeah, and
I've found.
And you're totally right. If we look back of like the surf industry days, and I was a lot of the stores that were started from the surf industry, and a lot of these big surf brands from the early days, all from Australia. You've got what is it, like
Billabong,
Rip Curl, Quicksilver. They're all Australian brands. They're all Australian brands that built this phenomenal brand in Australia and moved it globally. And it's like, I was like, that's amazing. They created jobs globally, and I'm like, that's cool. So, I think that also is inspiring to know that, those early days within the surf industry, they created all these brands and sent them globally, and there's offices all around the world, and they started, I'm sure Quicksilver started here, but, they're all here, started here. They had offices were here in Australia, and then they had offices all over the world. And I think that's inspiring. I mean, and for us, we have a motto: we don't have competition. We set the standard. Like, we don't, we got to stay in our lane and focus on what we do within our niche market.
You don't need to worry because you are your own unique brand in yourself, aren't you? Like, what you do is different. You are Gymshark, do something different, and Do You Even do something different, and you're in the middle there doing something completely different as well.
Yeah, like, and I mean, and it's inspiring. I mean, I've found with e-commerce, it's interesting that everyone's a lot more open to talk, and I've had some amazing conversations with founders that I've looked up to, in the US, and they're sharing information, and we're chatting, and I'm asking questions, and some of them we're sharing books as well, and it's pretty cool, and building relationships on the other side of the world with other founders, and I think that's really cool, and I even down to I'm talking to a friend of mine tomorrow from I Love Ugly. He's a super rad streetwear brand from New Zealand, and V and I are having a chat tomorrow on the phone, and we're just like helping each other out, and he's growing on e-commerce now, and I think that's cool. I mean, I've come from a wholesale industry where,
isn't there? There's so many learnings.
Yeah, and I've come from an industry where people didn't talk. Everyone was very secretive. Where now the information's out there, you just got to find it, right? In e-commerce, and it's. But I think when you build a brand, if you're building it to just go, I'm going to be a big brand, I'm going to make a ton of money. I don't think it's ever. You might do that, but are you going to be fulfilled too? I think it's like building a brand. You've got to have something you stand for, or something you're passionate about and love to do. And it almost is a reflection of what you did, and you created a product from that you loved, and then you just kept doing it, and then you obviously you learn from it, and it's a lot of the brands started. They had a passion, and they found an area that they were like, oh, I actually like that, and there's actually I could do it a bit differently, and that's how it starts. It's a passion.
I think you found that you started with a passion, and then you iterated all the way through to kind of find what that key message was and what that key focus was.
Yeah.
I think then you probably, from what you said, I think you probably found that in like 17, 18, you kind of really found it and niched into that LSKD brand.
Yeah.
Because from me personally, I first saw you guys coming up in my feed on my socials and this, that, and the other. Must have been about 16 to 24 months ago.
Yeah.
And I looked at your clothes then and I thought, they're not bad, right? They're not bad.
Yeah.
But then now I started to see that in the last 6 months, I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to notice. You got these revolutionary shorts with the air grill in. I think you're probably wearing some now. Like I've seen those in my gym that the lads are wearing. They all love them.
Yeah.
I thought it was revolutionary what you did with women's leggings. I thought the leggings were unbelievable. Like from not only from a female aesthetic, but from a man looking at a woman and how they sit on the woman. It's like, well, respect, that they're
it's
good.
A big goal of ours is,
do you know what I mean?
Fabric, and we have an amazing female team.
There's been a massive development in LSKD from there.
And honestly, I appreciate you saying that, because I think as we're over the next this year's the first year we're actually developing product that is purely not for wholesale, right? Like it's all for like what we've created for our community, and I think that starts to show. I mean, we have some amazing product coming out this year. We're even doing.
I'm buzzed for you.
Thanks. I get excited. I'm like looking at 12 months ahead, going, I can't wait for that. But I mean, we're making. We're even doing Australian made tights. And our designer, she's a seamstress, and she was making samples yesterday at home. Part of me that we're testing, and then we're making our fabric here and then sewing them here on the Gold Coast, actually. And for us, we're quite proud of that, So, we still do stuff offshore manufacturing, but we're also bringing stuff back here. And it's not that we need to, but I'm actually inspired to do it here, that we can, we've been working with the mill, the local manufacturer. We built these great relationships, and we're transparent. Like, man, we'd be rad to create jobs here in Australia by just that are manufactured. The price will be a little bit more expensive, yes.
But people will pay it for a quality product anyway. And because you're now not dictated to by a retailer, you can actually charge $5 extra for a pair of leggings, but actually deliver a banging product that actually
and
really
for us,
vibes.
it's about the quality of the product. I mean, we want to know everything. We're very transparent. If something's not right, we want to know, because it's like, how do we fix that? How do we learn from that?
just because I want to ask you this, because I know there's going to be a time that this happened, but was there ever a time you like put out a set of leggings, right? Like I'm talking about like 3,000-5,000 pairs of them, and like, you know, every time someone squats they split or something, some technical malfunction. Has that ever happened to your brand?
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
Happened
last year.
What happened?
We had a problem with some things in our seams last year. We couldn't sell them, and then we ended up having to QC every single pair in our own warehouse and have our team check every single pair to make sure, they were okay. So we, there was some splitting, and we learned from that. There was things that wasn't being done right when we were sewing them, to things that we'd learn as well. So it has happened, and
it happened. I know that happens to all brands though.
Yeah, everyone goes through it.
But no one talks about it.
No, it's kind of an unwritten thing. People don't talk. But I mean, when you start to grow and your units really grow, and I mean, a lot of brands have gone through that. And when your units really start to grow, you don't realize sometimes your manufacturer that's actually helping you produce the product might not be able to keep up with it. Yeah. Or because they're only at a certain capacity, so
it's a bit different getting 100 pieces from a factory, say in the Gold Coast or China,
to 5,000
to 5,000.
So it does happen, and I mean, it's about making sure that you're transparent with your partnerships and your suppliers to go, hey, like, are you okay to handle it? Because you don't want to put them under too much pressure either. So you want to make sure that they can, because it doesn't mean you're going to leave them. It just means you want to make sure you can diversify or support them through that as well, or help them. Right, these are they're your partners. Without them, you don't get to build an amazing brand. So, it has happened. I mean, it's happened for years. I mean, that's not the first time, and we've had products come where the t-shirts have just teared, and gone, oh my god, like, there's 25,000 t-shirts we can't sell. Like, that's happened, and this is still like a few years ago.
In that case, when you got 25,000 t-shirts that all tear, right, and they've all got
I don't know if it was that many, but it was a lot.
But just say it was. Say for argument's sake it was. Whose onus is that? Does that worn by the manufacturer, or is that worn by the brand?
Well, yeah, it is the manufacturer, and normally, it does go back to them. In quality control. I mean, it's a hard one. Sometimes if it's our fault, and we have to own it, right? Sometimes if it's their fault, they'll own it, right? But then you don't get to sell any product, so it's actually they might give you a refund, but you're not selling product to actually create jobs either, and get your brand out there. So it happens, and then it also sucks because then you got to figure out how to break that product down, right? And where to put the product. Can you turn it into something else? Because you want to use the product, like you don't want,
you got all this fabric.
Well, especially you don't want it's wastage, right? Like that's not good for the environment. So you got to figure out what to do with that. So you don't want product to be faulty because you want people to wear it for a longer period of time. Because if they don't, so for us, what was really exciting about going, as we started to go direct e-commerce, and I've shown a fair bit, but is the fact of it wasn't about a lot of people want to get stuff cheap. Every industry wants to get stuff cheap. Building industries are worse for it. We can pay a premium price, right? We can pay a premium price to make sure the quality's right, because we want to make sure the product lasts for a long time, because if it does, it means they're wearing it years later. If they're buying a $210 jacket from us, puffer jacket, our new puffer jackets are going to be made from the outer shell's made from recycled materials. We're really excited for our jackets in April, and puffers coming out. We want to make sure they could still wear that in 5 years' time, right? It's and if they want a new colorway every season, they can update their colorway, but they still can wear the same other color jacket they brought. Yeah, I think that's really important. So we were able to put more time into making sure, and it wasn't like we weren't before, but when we're direct, we can make sure the quality is even better. And we went back to the drawing board and said, almost like we rebuilt all our product categories from the ground up. We, even over the last 12 to 18 months, we pulled stuff offline. Like our socks, you got a pair of socks, rep socks, I got you a pair hooked you up with, but we use them for, they're like our performance sock. We didn't make socks for 12 months. We went back to the drawing board and said, let's make epic socks. Like, let's make socks that we can, we'll sell them for what we need to sell them for. We'll just get them right.
Just get the product
quality.
right.
Quality is everything. We don't want to have returns. We want to make sure the quality is amazing. So that's been a big learning curve on production and making sure it's about the quality. And
I love the fact that you've gone to town and designed a sock for 12 months just to make sure that it bangs.
Yeah, well, we were like, we don't have a big accessory line anymore because it was about our sportswear and with the streetwear product that tied together very well. So we were like, if an accessory is going to be created, it's got to align with Chase the Vibe. So when we were like, let's remake our sock, we didn't make I think we'd have socks for nearly 11 to 12 months by the time we got them last year in Christmas time. So we pretty much said, let's pull them off. And I mean, I didn't even think of it like that, but it was like, every piece of product for us is so crucial. It has to have meaning to our brand now. And I think that's really important when you're making products. It's not about just making it for the sake of making it. It's got to have a reason behind it.
And the reason why I'm buzzing so much through all of this, right, and I'm so buzzed about this as a podcast, because you have just articulated so many things and disdain so many myths of this industry, like, because people genuinely believe, right, Jace, that you can go to China, slap a logo on a t-shirt, bring over 1,000 products, put it into a Shopify store, advertise it on Instagram, get a few hot girls or a few good-looking dudes to wear it, and then that's an e-com brand. And I always knew that was not the real. That's not.
There's
real.
a point that probably could do that if they wanted to, but they might get. Yeah,
but it doesn't. But there's no.
It's not
but you
like
don't
that.
last 15 years in the game from doing that.
No, building a brand is essentially you're building. When you buy a product, when you buy a pair of shoes, you're buying into the brand and what it stands for and about it. Like, it's got that feeling around it. So for me, it's the same thing. Like, we wanted to create a brand that has heritage. It's going to be around for the next 20, 30, however long. When I potentially am no longer in the brand, you
want the brand to outlive your time within it.
Correct. I want it to be there for long term. Like, I want to be proud of what we created, and then the next stage and the next stage of the brand in 20, 30, 40 years time. I think it's really important. I mean, that's how I started to look at our business. It was like, how do we look at something long term? How do we look at building a brand long term now? And I think it's like, people go, oh, you've been in it for 10 years, like, and you think it's long, but 10 years is nothing, right? 10 years is, people go to university for 5 years just to learn a subject before they even start a job. And then they got to pay the HECS fees down. I was just on the job learning it, you know? And it's like, well, really, when you look at it, it's not that long. It's like, you're just getting started. I mean, most people's careers don't kick off until they're 30s, sometimes 40s. I'm early 30s, so I'm like, well, I'm just getting started.
We were talking about podcasting before we started, right? And you've obviously had your own podcast at some point.
Yeah.
And then obviously you got too busy doing your main gig to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is, as you know, this is my passion, mate. I
love it.
I'm hyped. I'm hyped. And it's just, and people say, oh, Frankie, like, how's it doing a podcast? And some people think it's really easy, and I don't believe it is. I just think it's all about repetitions and having a passion for it.
Yeah, reps. But it's all about reps.
It's all about repetitions. I say anybody can do it, but I can tell when I listen to one, is that person that's interviewing taking a genuine interest in the other person?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are the questions related to what that person just spoke about, or are they pre-written? Do you know what I mean? I can tell all that just by listening to the.
It's not a genuine conversation.
Yeah, because podcast is a conversation, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And I love the way that you've articulated your brand and what it means to you and why you're putting so much heart and soul into it. And it's the same reason with what I do and what I'm trying to put into this podcast and trying to give people value, right?
Yeah, correct.
Because I do not know how I'm going to generate revenue out of a podcast, right? But I don't need to know, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to know that.
Because it's a passion.
Because it's a passion,
You'll find a way,
and it'll figure itself out on the back end anyway.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that because it's the law of reciprocity, isn't it? Like, things, if you put good into the world, things come back to you, and that's how you started your brand, and that's how I believe everyone should start theirs.
Yeah, correct. I think you've got to start with something you love to do, and then if you build something, and then you got to be ready to grind, and you got to be ready to go. Yeah. Like, you got to be ready to make mistakes. Have tough times. Like, this hasn't been an easy journey. Like, it's been a long, there's just been a lot of mistakes and a lot of things I've learned, family and the business and things I'm no longer in. And it was tough, like, it's, when you want to be something, or create something, it's hard, right? Like, it's not easy and it takes a lot of hours. I mean, you're on 24/7, it doesn't sleep, but if it's something you're passionate about, then do it and find a way to make it your career and love what you do. And then you'll find other avenues that you can grow your career. And I think that to me is like, you know, for me, if somebody, I mean, I've got that, I don't know, it's like we joke about like an athlete mindset, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like if someone says you can't do something, or if someone says, oh, you got to get to here, I'm like, oh, I'll find a way. Like, it's a new goal for our brand or something. So I'll find a way. Like, I don't know how yet, but I'm just going to talk to everyone and figure out a way to get us there, or work with the team and give them ideas of how we're going to, you know, it's the same as, you know, we're going to run a marathon this year. I've never run more than 33 Ks. Well, I've got to start training and figure out a way, and I'll start talking to different athletes and asking them what they do, and then learn their routine, and then start, you know, my training routine.
You're building it up step by step. And
you just build this thing in your head of like how you're going to do it, and then you go out and execute and just try it, and then learn, and then.
But I'm enjoying the journey, mate.
Exactly, you got to enjoy it too.
I'm this whole podcasting thing and building LSKD, right, has been, from what it sounds from both our point of views, I reckon it's been a journey that is quite fulfilling.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you just got to the end and you achieved this big thing that you'd targeted, it just wouldn't feel the same.
No,
you know, because
what's infinite, it never ends, right?
Yeah,
it never ends, regardless of what you hit.
Yeah, you got to
go to the next thing.
Yeah, you always got to be in the pursuit.
Yeah,
in the pursuit all the time.
Yeah,
Jimmy was talking to me. We went down to see James Smith's live performance with Dirren last night because they'd previously been on the last podcast. And James was sat in the passenger seat. And we're driving down. He does all the videography for podcasters or YouTube videos, all that stuff that I'm fucking useless at. Yeah. He puts it all together. He's a great lad. Anyway, we're driving down there, and he says to me, he remembers when, at the start of all this, like when I'd only done a few podcasts on my own, I kind of laid him out the vision of where I wanted to go and the kind of guests I wanted to have on.
Yeah.
And now we're like X amount of episodes in, he's seeing that, and he's starting to see, and now we're starting to go to events with some big names and stuff like this in delivering what I said.
Yeah.
And I said to him then, I said, Jimmy, you know when I told you that we were going to do this, I didn't have a fucking clue how I was going to do it. Not a clue. Not even a Scooby. Not even a bar.
You just got a vision that you think.
But I thought, I know that I can do this. Like, and I was telling him the other day the guests that we're going to have on, like in the next 12 months, and he knows I'm going to deliver that. Because he's seen it already. So and that's what you're doing within your brand as well. You're selling that dream that you've envisioned in your mind to your 30 to 60 staff that you've got, you know, in and out the office. And that's what drives them. And then you go and create it. It's not all just, and that's the beauty of building, whether it is a personal brand or a business brand like yourself, and that's something you can deliver.
Yeah.
And it's some special shit when you put it together.
Yeah, it is. And when you start to see things come to life, or you see that happen, and then, you know, everyone is just so hyped on it, you're like, oh wow, we did achieve that team. Like, we got that. And then it's like, okay, cool. Well, that's what's possible. What's next? What's possible together? Like, yeah. And it is. It's a lot of, I mean, I got 2 tattoos, Believe and Dream, probably back in 2009. So, you know, I have it even on my arms, you know, my wrists. So, you know, it's something that I think it's all about. You got to believe in yourself, you know, and there's days it is hard, and you got to back yourself, and you got to look at the future and envision that, you know, and you got to live present, but also think, where can we go? And you don't want to let the past affect, you know, your present and your future of where you want to go, you know, and as you said, like, if you envision something, it's a law of attraction. You can make it happen. I'm a big believer in that. You know, it's if someone ever said no to me, I got so many no's trying to get into retail shops. You know, I would go on the road. I'd be racing at a Harvey Bay, and I would stop at Gympie to this one retail store to try and sell to. I think it took me like 2 years to get into this one store, and I would race up there maybe 4 times a year, 5 times a year, and I would stop every time, and it took 2 years to get into that store. And because for me it was like, oh, it's just a when, you know, it's not a no, it's a when. You know, it's just like 100%. And I'd get feedback, and I'd go back to the drawing board, and I'd go, well, why didn't they want to do that? And it was a really cool street surf store, and I was like, how do I get in there, you know? And it was like, if I went into a store and I got a no, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, it's just a matter of time, right? Like, I'll get in there, you know.
100%.
I never had that. Oh, if I don't, you get down on yourself, and then it's like that. It's like, oh, well, whatever. Next, you know, keep moving forward. Don't slow down. Don't slow the train down. Like, just because you got a no doesn't mean you slow the thing down.
So many people though spend their whole life climbing this ladder up a wall, looking down while climbing up this ladder, thinking they're climbing towards their success, when really they look back and they're, oh shit, the ladder's leaning against the wrong fucking wall now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, that's why you should always do what you say and look forward and kind of see and kind of write how you want your life to look, and then you can reverse engineer what kind of thing fits in with where you want to go to.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there just climbing ladders predicated on the money and the money that this ladder makes them, or the feeling that it gives them for this temporary moment. But no one's sitting there on all they need is an A4 blank bit of paper and just say, hey, this is where I am. Okay, cool. But where do I want to be in 12 months time even?
Yeah.
Like, how do I want my life to look? And then reverse engineer and plug in something into that kind of
set goals.
Set something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have that shit. Have something to look at, to vision, to see, to believe.
100%.
And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't matter what I think, you think. It just matters, do you believe in that yourself internally? And if you can, then you can deliver it. You can do exactly what you've done.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're going to make mistakes, and it's fine. Like,
mate,
learn from it. Use it. I think that's the best thing about when you're growing and want to be somewhere in your journey in your career. If you start to learn that the mistakes are times where you reflect on that and go, okay, well, what happened there, and what did I do wrong? Oh, that. Okay, cool. I'm going to move forward even further now. I think that also was a big testament to getting yourself further every day. Because you reflect on your mistakes. You know, we all make them, and it's about how do you learn from that. And I think that's how we've got to where we were. We just, like you said, we tried so many different things and made a ton of mini mistakes, and it's not bad. I don't care. Like, I'm thankful for it, because that's why our brand is where it is and growing to today, and our team. And I'm very thankful for it.
You're well on the way to being like a 9-figure brand, man. Like that's where you're going. You know, you're going to get there, and you're well on your way to the journey. And I don't doubt it in the slightest. Do you know?
Thanks, brother. It's exciting.
That's fucking exciting.
There's a lot possible. I mean, our new building we're about to move into in July. And I'll show you a photo after this. It's we're supposed to dig ground tomorrow. Actually, my whole team. There was a food truck going there, and we're all heading out there to put a shovel in the ground. It's a 3,000 square foot facility with a gym, so our team can train, test product. There's a rooftop for events, so we can have community come in.
I hope I get an invite.
Yeah, you come training. It's good. It's a great way to.
I'm into the event.
Oh yeah, you come to that for sure. The opening, the retail shop, but it's that's like steps of our journey of where our brand's heading, and I mean even down to. When we say we're a team, I mean, when we didn't hide it from everyone, we said, okay, guys, we have to move. We got to get back together, because we're split up in our warehouses, and it's been a little bit crazy, with having to split and then teams collaborating when we're kind of moving very quickly. So we got a whiteboard out and said, what does everyone need? I mean, we didn't joke about it. We couldn't have a sauna, but what does everyone need in their office to make their lives better and their careers better? So,
why couldn't you have a sauna?
Oh, we didn't have a room. We could put one in. I mean, we could.
My goal is to get your staff a sauna.
I mean, we can put one in. It's fine. I mean, I wouldn't mind it actually. But we made sure that we accommodated everything that we kind of needed to be the best at what we do. Big studio, and a gym. Everyone's hyped on the gym. I mean, I am too. I'm excited to have a gym that we can train in and test product and. Have ambassadors come down.
I'm sure that'll be kitted out with like someone like Alpha Fit. I should think.
Yeah. He's designing it. Last week.
He's a top boy.
Yeah, Jamie's a legend. So
he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, so they're designing it actually, which is really cool. So we're it's going to be epic. He's putting some new machinery in there that is kind of new for them and innovative with their like pull down machine. So we're going to have it like a cross functional / gym style too. So you can do functional workouts and group sessions as well as. I
love the fact there's so many brands now like yourself that realise that they need a place for their videography, their staff to be looked after and all that stuff, and they're bringing all that stuff in-house. I know High Smile have done it as well, another brand on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And other brands around here are doing it as well because it's just so important.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like, I mean, I'm going to train there. I mean, I train at Fitstop Sykes Creek as well, so I train at a Fitstop and I mean, but I'll still train there in the morning. I could be there at 6 a.m. in the morning doing a session, and there might be someone from the warehouse crew throwing down a session, and I don't get to talk to them very often one-on-one. And next time we're having a conversation, like it builds connection too for me. I think that's cool. Where and then you G'ing each other up in the gym to train harder, and before you start your day, or you can train at lunch. Yeah, you have a bit of a shitty moment or something goes on and you're not happy, just go do a workout and sweat it out.
You've got showers and everything on site.
Yeah, it's got everything. So, locker rooms, etc., big kitchen. So
I'm buzzed for you doing that. You know what I mean? I think that's a real good move.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
I presume you're going to own the site as well, or?
We couldn't on that place. Actually, it's a pretty prime location on the highway.
But eventually, I reckon you'll probably try.
Yeah, we just decided against doing it. To be honest, we decided. I mean, it's really hard when you're growing so fast to
have that much capital tied into
and expansion. So we especially with warehousing and how you got to expand warehousing as well.
By the time you've moved into it, you probably need a bigger place.
Maybe,
if Black Friday goes the way that,
who knows? I mean, we've got the rooftop that we can build on top of as well when we're ready. That's why there's a rooftop. So so the developer's been an absolute legend. So they've owned the land for 35, 40 years. So it's a pretty epic location on the highway. So it'd be hard. There's not a lot of land around anymore. So unless you want to be very far out, but we wanted something prime on the highway that 120,000 cars drive past every day.
It's a great marketing play,
big branding,
because big
which is great for our brand awareness too, and to share the brand a little bit more to the public. I mean,
you can throw some.
But we're still growing. We're not known everywhere. You can throw some
cracking events on there as well because you're between the Gold Coast and Brisbane.
Yeah, so we'll host our Beats and Eats that we do for cystic fibrosis. It's a charity event that we do every year. So our next one we postponed. We normally do it in January, but with COVID, we've waited. So we're going to do that in September.
Yeah, buzzed.
So we have food trucks come down, Red Bull DJ, and we raise money, and then we either buy gym equipment for the local hospital with the money, or we donate it back to Cystic Fibrosis Queensland. So my cousin actually has cystic fibrosis, so that's kind of how something close to me, and he used to work for the brand as well. Blake's a legend. So we'll host really cool community events.
I love the way you put him back into the community like that as well.
It's cool.
It gives even more purpose to what you do.
And we're appreciative of that now. I think we've always done it and we've never talked about it, but now we're kind of like, okay, we should share this because it inspires other people to want to do that more as well, and we all give back and be a part of something greater. So
I think that's great that you're doing that, because I think more brands, like you say, need to just constantly
and there's brands probably doing it at a really high level. Like we're just kind of getting started and learning to take it to that next level.
I think the fact that you've started says enough, because at the end of the day, there's so many of us that have started. I mean, I give passively to charity anyway, but like just because then at least I'm doing it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because otherwise you sometimes you give more one month and then not enough next. It's like just give all the time. Just give to. In fact, just go through life and just give people the best version of yourself as much as you can.
Exactly.
And just present yourself as well you can.
Exactly.
And then hopefully something good comes back to you. And I think that's the way that I look at life now. More chilled about it. I'm like, okay, I'll just try and help this person. And even if they go away saying I'm a wanker,
the right thing, just be a good person.
It's just like, I tried my best,
Yeah, exactly.
If before we leave and drop your socials and all that stuff, so people can go and follow you and follow the brand and follow the journey, and I'll put all the links in the description anyway.
Yeah.
Before we do all that, and there's been so much epic advice you've dropped on this podcast. But if there was one golden nugget of information that if it was your last piece of information you could leave to the world to get to people's ears at the right time, what do you think that piece of information would be for you?
It's a good one. There's a couple. I mean,
I'm talking about like this is your last, like you're leaving this is your legacy to the world, this comment.
I've never been asked that. I mean, for me,
it's so important, because it makes people like yourself who've beat at a high level. It makes you go into your mind and really dig out something meaningful to you. So I don't care what that is.
I mean, I think it's what I said on my wrist. I mean, you got to believe in yourself, and you got to dream what's possible. That anything is possible if you just believe in yourself. And I think the amount of, it's easy for us and all of us to have self-doubt in when there's something big happening, and everyone goes through it, even myself, right? Like you got a big thing happening and you're questioning yourself, or you're like, do I do it? I think it's like you got to believe in yourself and you got to back yourself and dream of what's possible. I don't you don't want to leave anything on the table. I think that's for me now is like, I did this I've been doing this for quite a while, and now to see the brand really growing, it's like, wow, I'm glad I stuck that out, right? Like I'm so thankful I stuck it out and dreamed of what was possible and just believed in myself, right? And dealt with a ton of shit and just believed in myself. So I think it's believing in yourself. Don't let the candle burn out. Just keep it going. The game. Essentially, I mean, Simon Sinek's thing, the game is infinite. It never ends, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same as when we're, I train for a lot of events, and it keeps us kind of like motivated for an event. And we all get together as a crew of us and we train, and, we're in group chats, and, we're all like sharing our workouts to prepare for, say, like we got the Stratty Salute Triathlon coming up. And it's like once that ends, it's like, oh, that's not the end. It's like, that's just one event that we did, and it's a great memory. And it's like, okay, well, we got to keep staying fit, because I look at it as when I'm when I'm super old, it's like, I want to still stay fit and healthy. That's what it's about. It's not about right now. It's about the future. So I think it's believing in yourself, and the game doesn't end. It's just new parts of the journey.
Play that infinite game and keep that candle burning.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm Simon Sinek, but it is very true. I think it's like, don't give up on don't give up. If you've got something you're passionate about, just pivot to pivot it. If it's not working, pivot and find the thing that is going to work for you and in your passion. So, because it's anyone that started a business it's not easy. It is hard. It is 100%. Hard, and the journey's not easy, and it's a lonely journey, right?
And you don't have to know the answers all day one, so don't worry about the answers.
And it can be lonely. You get real with it. You're in your head a lot, right? You're thinking a lot. What's going on? And my wife goes, Jason, what are you doing? Are you going to answer me? I'm like, what? Oh, sorry. I'm thinking about like 20 other things on the go. I'm like, shit, I got to be present, and I think, and that's something I'm really trying to do when I come home to my little one, is staying present. Because when you get busy and life goes on.
Yeah.
And the greatest thing about kids, and my CFO said it the other day, is like, kids ground you. You get home and you've had this amazing day, and you work and you're seeing things happen, and then you get home and you're changing a pooey nappy. You're like, your shit gets brought down to earth real quick. You're like, you're right. Like, it's good. I have that. Not that you're not up on cloud nine. You just you got you're so focused on what you want to achieve. I think it's like funny, because you go home and you're like, oh great, Hendrix does not give a shit about anything that went on today. He just wants to hang out with me, and I'm happy about that. And we'll just shoot the shit and hang out and ride bikes. So
I'm buzzed, because that takes.
I think kids have really helped with that too.
That takes you back to your where you started.
Yeah.
So that is literally you're going back home and you're being regrounded into where you started and what kicked it off for you.
Yeah. And he loves his bike, and I'm nervous he wants to race bikes. I'm like, please don't. But he loves his bikes, and I'm like, oh, it's something's happened here. He loves bikes. So, but it's cool. He's a little strider, and we just ride around together. But it is, and I think having been he's almost 3, and other one Freya's 7 weeks old, and I think that's a real appreciation. And really kind of gives you that purpose as well around life, as having kids. So, that's been amazing too. So that's, and my wife, Ali's been an absolute legend too. So she helps a lot. Without her, I wouldn't be here today either, because, she takes a lot of pressure off me to stay focused as well. So yeah, it's, but if there's anything, it's believe in yourself. Don't give up.
I love it. I love it, because it's, but there's so much value in that. I know you've summed it up in probably a 5-minute conversation, but I think if people
it was a hard question. I'm like, the legacy of it. Holy shit.
But no, because I think too many people are scared to ask those hard questions that make people think in depth about themselves. And I know I don't want to be known for that. I want to get people to think, not in a bad light. I'm not trying to trip people over. I'm just trying to get people to. You've got knowledge from like 10 to 15 years of graft in a brand that's gone from retail to e-com, and I want people to not only understand the journey of what you've been through to get to you where you are at the level you're at.
Yeah.
But I want people to understand okay, if there's one fundamental piece out of all of that you've got to give them back, that is it. And that's what I want them to understand when they leave this podcast.
Yeah.
So that's it. Drop your socials on here so that they can follow you and the brand.
Yeah. My socials is Jason Daniel with 2 underscores.
I'll link them up as well in the.
Yeah, and then our brand is at LSKD across both Facebook and IG, and our website's lskd.co.
Wicked, mate, wicked. And thank you very much, Chase, for your time on the podcast, mate. I really fucking appreciate it.
That's all right. Thank you. I appreciate your time. It's been awesome.
No, man. I buzzed off this conversation. I've been buzzing about doing this conversation. I wanted it to happen. We've made it happen.
Thanks, brother.
And I look forward to seeing this new factory and warehouse.
Yeah, you're coming down for a session. We'll train.
For sure, man, for sure. And guys, do me a solid favor. If you've got as much out of this podcast as we have sat here spitting it, if you could like it, share it, put it on your socials, drop us both a message on Instagram. Let us know how you thought about how we did in this podcast, and if we've given you some value. We'd both appreciate that, me and Jace. So
thanks.
And thank you very much for your time. Much love.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Frankie Lee Podcast.